Welcome, dear friend. Take a gentle breath in and let it go slowly. In this moment right here, you are already sitting in the presence of profound truth. The title you see before you, Master Your Mind, Master Your Life, vertical bar, the Buddha's path to true freedom, and the simple words beneath it, change the mind, change the life. These are not mere phrases, they are the very heart of the Dharma. The Buddha taught that all experience arises in the mind. As it is said in the Dhammapada, mind precedes all things, mind is chief, all are mind-made. With an impure mind comes suffering, following like the wheel follows the ox. With a pure mind comes happiness, like a shadow that never leaves. This is the invitation to turn inward, to see clearly, and to transform. When the mind changes, life itself changes, not through force, but through gentle, persistent awareness. Let us walk together through 7 powerful lessons drawn from the Buddha's teachings. Speak these words to yourself quietly as we go. Allow them to settle deeply. 1. The mind shapes all that we are. Everything in your life, your peace or your turmoil, your moments of deep joy or heavy sorrow, traces back to the mind. It begins right there with a thought, a fleeting intention, a subtle attitude that colors how you see and respond to the world. The Buddha opened the Dhammapada, one of the most cherished collections of his teachings, with these clear and direct words: mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. If, with an impure mind, a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him, like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. And then the counterpart: if, with a pure mind, a person speaks or acts, happiness follows him, like his never-departing shadow. These verses are not poetry for its own sake. They point to a simple, profound law of existence. The mind is the forerunner, the leader, the creator of our experience. What we feel, what unfolds around us in terms of inner peace or disturbance, arises from the quality of the mind in that moment. An impure mind, clouded by greed, hatred, or confusion, sets in motion actions and words that lead inevitably to suffering, just as the wheel of a cart rolls inescapably behind the ox pulling it. There is no escape from this cause and effect. Yet the same law works in the opposite direction. A pure mind, one touched by kindness, clarity, and calm, gives rise to happiness that stays close, like a shadow that never parts from its source. Take a moment now, dear friend, and turn your attention inward. Sit quietly and watch. You do not need to force anything or chase after special states. Simply notice the stream of thoughts moving through awareness. Perhaps a memory surfaces from earlier today, a sharp word spoken in haste, or a gentle smile offered to a stranger. See how that single thought, that brief impulse, rippled outward. The harsh word may have left a sting in your own heart long after the conversation ended, replaying itself, tightening the chest, dimming the rest of the day. The kind smile, even if small, may have warmed something inside you, softening the edges of worry, inviting a lightness that carried forward. This is not about grand, dramatic events. It happens in the ordinary moments of daily life. Imagine you wake up, and the first thought is one of complaint. Another exhausting day ahead. That single framing colors everything that follows. You move through tasks with heaviness, snap at small irritations, feel drained before noon. The day becomes what the mind has already decided it will be. Now picture instead, beginning with a quiet acknowledgement: this day is fresh, I can meet it with care. The same tasks may still await, but the inner atmosphere shifts. There is space for patience, for noticing small beauties, a warm cup of tea, the sound of birds, a colleague's effort. The day unfolds differently because the mind has met it differently. The Buddha did not teach this to burden us with guilt over every passing thought. Thoughts arise uninvited. They are part of the conditioned nature of mind. What matters is what we do with them. We do not need to fight the mind or suppress it. That only creates more tension. The path is gentler. Recognition. See the thought clearly, without adding fuel through judgment or endless stories. A flash of anger arises. Note it as anger. Feel its heat in the body. Watch how it builds, and then, if not fed, begins to fade. A wave of envy towards someone's success. Observe it quietly. See the comparison it creates, the sense of lack it stirs. In that bare seeing, without clinging or pushing away, the power of the thought diminishes. Space opens. Choice becomes possible. This recognition is the beginning of freedom. When we understand that we become what we dwell upon, we start to take responsibility, not in a harsh, self-blaming way, but in a kind, wise way. We ask, what seeds am I planting right now? Am I watering thoughts of resentment, fear, or self-pity, or am I nurturing thoughts rooted in understanding, compassion, and equanimity? Each moment offers this choice. The seed planted today, however small, grows into the landscape of tomorrow. A habit of gratitude, cultivated day by day, transforms a mind prone to lack into one that notices abundance. A repeated turning toward loving kindness softens a heart hardened by past hurts. Consider how this plays out over time. Someone who dwells frequently on blame and victimhood may find relationships strained, opportunities missed, a sense of isolation growing, not because the world is against them, but because the mind filters everything through that lens, interpreting events in ways that reinforce the story. Conversely, a person who trains the mind toward patience and goodwill, even in difficult circumstances, begins to experience a steadiness that others notice. Challenges still come, impermanence remains, but the inner response changes. Suffering loses much of its grip because the mind no longer multiplies it through rumination. This teaching invites us to look honestly at our inner world. It is not always comfortable. We may see patterns we would rather ignore, old grudges replayed, habitual worries, moments of selfishness. Yet the Buddha's message is one of hope. Since the mind shapes experience, the mind can also reshape it. Transformation does not require perfection from the start. It begins with small, consistent efforts, pausing before reacting, breathing through discomfort, choosing to respond with kindness when instinct urges otherwise. In this way, the path unfolds naturally. By observing without judgment, by gently steering toward wholesome states, the mind purifies itself. Happiness follows, not as a forced reward, but as a natural consequence, like the shadow that accompanies every step. Suffering still arises in life, illness, loss, change, but it no longer defines us. We meet it with a mind that has learned its own power. So rest here for a moment longer. Breathe in awareness, breathe out any tension. Know that this very observation is the practice. The mind that sees clearly is already changing. And as it changes, so does your life, quietly, deeply, from the inside out. This is the first great lesson the Buddha offers. The mind shapes all that we are. 2. Conquer yourself, not the world. You may defeat 1,000 enemies on the battlefield, yet the noblest victory is the conquest of self. The Buddha spoke these words in the Dhammapada, in the chapter called The Thousands. Though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who conquers himself. Self-conquest is far better than the conquest of others. Not even a god, an angel, Mara, or Brahma can turn into defeat the victory of a person who is self-subdued and ever restrained in conduct. These lines point to the deepest truth of the path. Outer victories, gaining power, wealth, praise, or overcoming opponents, seem grand in the eyes of the world. They bring temporary glory, admiration from others, a sense of triumph that echoes for a time. Yet all such conquests remain fragile. They depend on conditions beyond your control, the strength of armies, the loyalty of allies, the favor of circumstances. A kingdom built on outer dominance can crumble in a single day through betrayal, illness, or the turning of fortune. Even the greatest conqueror in history eventually faced defeat, death, or the fading of their name. But the victory over oneself is different. It is internal, complete, and irreversible when fully attained. Once you have subdued the forces within, greed that pulls toward endless wanting, hatred that poisons the heart, delusion that clouds clear seeing, no external power can undo it. Not the praise of others can restore what is already tamed, nor the blame of the world shake what is steady. Not even the tempter Mara with all his illusions, nor the highest celestial beings can reverse this inner triumph. It stands firm, like a mountain unmoved by wind. The mind itself is the battlefield where this conquest takes place. The Buddha described the mind as swift and restless, darting here and there, hard to check, hard to tame. It is like trying to hold a fish wriggling in your hands, or to calm a wild wind. Cravings arise suddenly, pulling you toward sights, sounds, tastes, touches, ideas that promise pleasure. Anger flares up when things do not go as expected, burning inside like fire. Pride whispers that you are better or worse than others, creating separation. Fear creeps in at the thought of loss, aging, or death. These are the inner enemies, powerful, persistent, and subtle. To conquer them does not mean to destroy or suppress them with harsh force. That approach only creates more struggle, more tension. The path is one of wise restraint, patient observation, and gentle training. You meet these forces directly, with mindfulness and understanding. When craving arises, you do not immediately follow it into action or fantasy. Instead, you pause. You breathe. You look closely. What is this feeling in the body? Where does it tighten? How long does it last if left alone? In that clear seeing, without adding stories or judgment, the craving loses much of its grip. It arises, stays for a time, and passes away, revealing its impermanent nature. The same with anger. When irritation or resentment builds, you turn the attention inward rather than outward. You notice the heat in the chest, the clenched jaw, the racing thoughts of justification. You ask quietly, who is truly suffering here? Is it the other person, or is it this mind holding on to the hurt? In seeing that anger harms the one who harbors it most, compassion can begin to arise, even toward the one who caused the pain. Not forced compassion, but natural understanding that all beings act from their own confusion and conditioning. With this insight, the fire cools. You choose not to speak or act from that place. In that choice, you have conquered the impulse. This training happens gradually, in the small moments of everyday life. It is not reserved for long retreats or special conditions. While walking to work, notice when the mind starts to complain about traffic or weather. See it, let it go. During a conversation, when pride wants to interrupt or prove a point, pause and listen instead. In moments of loneliness or boredom, when the urge arises to distract yourself with endless scrolling or eating, sit with the discomfort for a few breaths. Each time you refrain from following the unwholesome urge, each time you choose awareness over reaction, you strengthen the inner restraint. You build the quality of self-control that the Buddha called the highest victory. Why is this so important? Because the root of all suffering lies within. The world may bring pain, loss, betrayal, sickness, but it is the mind's response that turns pain into prolonged suffering. When the mind is untamed, it multiplies difficulties, regretting the past, fearing the future, comparing, clinging, pushing away. But when the mind is conquered, even in the midst of hardship, there is space, there is equanimity, there is the possibility of wisdom and kindness arising naturally. Consider someone who has truly practiced this path. Challenges still come: family difficulties, health issues, uncertainties about the future. Yet their response is different. They meet adversity without being overwhelmed. They act with clarity rather than from impulse. Their peace is not dependent on external success or approval. This is true sovereignty. No longer a slave to moods, desires, or fears. The victory cannot be taken away because it is not granted by anyone or anything outside. Dear friend, begin where you are. Do not wait for perfect conditions or for the mind to become easy to tame. It will not happen by waiting. Start with short periods of sitting each day, simply watching the breath and noting what arises. When the mind wanders, gently return without self-criticism. In daily activities, bring awareness to one thing at a time: eating, walking, listening. Notice the pull of the senses, the rise of emotions, and practice restraint, not as punishment, but as care for your own heart. Over time, the restless mind settles. The inner enemies weaken. What once controlled you now bows to awareness. This is the conquest the Buddha praised above all others. It brings a freedom no outer achievement can match, a quiet, unshakable freedom that endures through every change. So rest in this understanding now. Breathe slowly, feel the possibility within you. The greatest battle is not against the world. It is the gentle, persistent work of conquering yourself. And in that victory, true sovereignty is found. 4. Lower your gaze, raise your soul. My dear brothers and sisters, let us talk about something that is so simple, yet so powerful in unlocking the new you: lowering your gaze. Allah says in the Quran, in Surah An-Nur, "Tell the believing men to lower their gaze and guard their private parts. That is purer for them." Indeed, Allah is acquainted with what they do, and for the women He says the same. Tell the believing women to lower their gaze and guard their chastity. This is not just a command from Allah, it's a mercy, a protection for your heart, for your mind, for your entire life. You see, my brothers and sisters, in this world today, everywhere you look, on the streets of Karachi, on your phone screens, on billboards, on social media, there are images, there are people dressed in ways that catch the eye, that stir something inside. It's not easy. The eyes wander, the heart gets pulled, and before you know it, one glance becomes two, two becomes a thought becomes a desire, and desire takes over your peace. Shaitan whispers, "Just look, it's nothing, everyone does it." But Allah warns us, the eyes are the door to the heart. What enters through the eyes settles in the soul. And if you keep opening that door to what is haram, your soul gets polluted, your focus scatters, and the new you, the pure, strong, Allah-connected you, stays locked away. Think about it simply. Imagine your heart is like a clear glass of water, pure, calm, reflecting the light of Iman. Now if you drop even a little dirt into it, a forbidden glance, a lingering look at something that awakens nafs, it clouds up, one drop, and the whole glass is murky. You can't see clearly anymore. Your salah becomes distracted, your dhikr feels empty, your relationships get complicated with jealousy or unrealistic expectations. Brothers, when you lower your gaze from non-mahram women, you're not just obeying Allah, you're protecting your own manhood, your respect for women as sisters in Islam, your ability to see beauty in halal ways, like in your wife, in your family, in the creation of Allah. Sisters, the same for you. Lowering your gaze from unrelated men keeps your femininity sacred, saves you from comparison traps on Instagram, from chasing images that Allah never meant for your heart. Let me share a small story from the life of the Sahaba. May Allah be pleased with them. Once Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu, one of the greatest companions, was walking in the market. A woman passed by, stunningly beautiful. His eyes flicked for a moment. Natural, human, But immediately he lowered his gaze and turned away. Later, when asked why, he said, "I fear Allah will ask me about that glance on the Day of Judgment." Subhanallah. Ali, the lion of Allah, the husband of Fatima, the father of Hassan and Hussein, he chose to lower his gaze. If he needed to guard his eyes, how much more do we, in a time when fitna is in every pocket, every screen? Now, practically, how do you do this? Start small, because Allah loves consistency, even if it's little. Brothers and sisters, make it your habit when you step out. Make dua, Allahumma barik li fi gazari, O Allah bless my gaze. Train your eyes like you train a muscle. You're scrolling TikTok or Instagram. Put a filter, only follow Islamic pages, scholars, reminders of Jannah. Delete apps that pull you into endless haram content. At the mall, in the bazaar, if someone attractive passes, look down at your feet, think of Allah, say Astaghfirullah silently. It takes 2 seconds, but it saves your soul for a lifetime. For our young brothers especially, listen carefully. The opposite gender is not your entertainment. Allah created women with beauty for a purpose. Marriage, family. Lowering your gaze honors that. When you look away, you gain barakah. Your productivity shoots up. No more wasted hours fantasizing. Your iman strengthens because you're fighting shaitan head-on. And sisters, same for you. Social media shows perfect faces, filtered lives. Lower your gaze, and suddenly you're content with what Allah gave you. No more envy, no more depression over looks. Your soul rises, connected to Allah's pleasure, not likes and comments. See the connection to the new you. Lowering your gaze purifies the heart. A pure heart means clear intentions, better decisions, stronger tawakkul. Imagine waking up for Fajr without guilt weighing you down. Imagine talking to your spouse with genuine love, not tainted by past glances. Imagine your dua being accepted because your eyes are only for Allah's creation in the right way. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "The gaze is a poisoned arrow from the arrows of Iblis. Whoever lowers it out of fear of Allah will receive a reward from Allah that he cannot imagine." But what if you slip? We all do. Nafs is weak. Don't despair. That's shaitan's trap. Immediately say Astaghfirullah. Lower your gaze next time. Make tawbah. Allah says in the Quran, "Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. The door is always open." Every time you choose to look away, you're building spiritual muscle. Over days, weeks, months, it becomes natural. Your eyes become a shield, your heart a fortress. Brothers and sisters in Karachi, in this hot, busy city where life rushes, traffic, work, family, lowering your gaze is your cool breeze of peace. It's free, it's instant, it's from Allah directly. No gym needed, no money spent, just intention and action. Try it today. From this moment until Maghrib, guard your gaze completely. Notice how your mind calms, how shaitan backs off, how Allah fills that space with khushu, with barakah. Remember the companions who conquered lands, who faced swords, first conquered their eyes. They became the best generation because their souls were elevated. You want to be from them? Start here. Lower your gaze and watch your soul rise. The new you isn't chasing dunya distractions. It's soaring to Jannah, eyes fixed on Allah alone. Allah make it easy for us. Ameen. Lower your gaze today and unlock the purity Allah promised. Your heart will thank you. Your akhirah will shine. This is lesson 4. Simple but transforms everything. 5. Live in the present moment, free from past and future. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. These words, often attributed to the Buddha and echoed in many teachings, capture the essence of a profound freedom available right here, right now. The past has already slipped away like sand through open fingers. It no longer exists, except in the stories we tell ourselves. The future remains unborn, a shadow cast by imagination, empty until this very instant gives it form. Only the present is real, alive, and touchable. In this single breath, this heartbeat, this sensation of sitting or standing, liberation waits patiently, not as something to chase far away, but as something to recognize in the midst of ordinary life. The mind loves to wander. It drifts backward into yesterday's regrets, the words spoken in haste that cannot be unsaid, the opportunities missed, the pains inflicted or received. Each time we revisit these scenes, we replay the suffering, adding fresh layers of guilt, anger, or sorrow. The chest tightens, the shoulders rise, the peace of now dissolves into a fog of what if, or the mind leaps forward, anxious and restless. What if tomorrow brings loss? What if plans fail? What if I am not enough? Worry builds castles in the air, brick by brick, until the present feels small and threatening. In both directions, backward or forward, the mind abandons the only place where action, change, and true seeing are possible, here. The Buddha taught this not as a rigid rule to force upon ourselves, but as a gentle invitation to return home. In the Bhattacharya Sutta, often called the Discourse on the Auspicious Day, he says clearly, "Do not pursue the past. Do not hanker after the future. As to the past, it has been left behind. As to the future, it has not yet come. Instead, clearly understand the present phenomena with insight." This is the way to live the auspicious day. The auspicious day is not some distant holiday or perfect circumstance. It is this day, this moment, when the mind rests undivided in what is actually occurring. See how this works in daily experience. You are drinking a cup of tea. If the mind is in the past, you sip absent-mindedly while replaying an argument from last week, tasting nothing of the warmth or the subtle bitterness. If the mind is in the future, you gulp it down while planning tomorrow's tasks, already tense about unfinished work. But when attention gathers in the present, feeling the cup's smoothness against your palm, noticing the steam rising, tasting the tea as it touches the tongue, hearing the quiet sound of swallowing, something shifts. The simple act becomes vivid, alive. There is no regret, no worry, only the direct meeting of awareness with what is. Suffering quiets because it thrives on distance, on stories about what was or what might be. In pure presence, there is no room for multiplication of pain. This does not mean ignoring the past or future entirely. Wisdom requires reflection, looking back to learn from mistakes, planning ahead with care. The difference lies in how we do it. We reflect on the past mindfully, without clinging or endless rumination. We plan for the future responsibly, without fear-driven obsession. Then we return again and again to now. The breath is the anchor. Each inhalation draws attention back. Each exhalation releases wandering thoughts. In sitting meditation, this becomes clear practice. The mind drifts to a memory or a plan. You note it softly, thinking, and gently guide it back to the rising and falling of the abdomen or the sensation at the nostrils. No blame, no struggle, just returning. Stories from the tradition illustrate this beautifully. There is the tale of a man pursued by tigers, one in front, one behind, clinging to a vine over a cliff, with mice gnawing at the roots. In that desperate moment, he notices a strawberry growing nearby. He plucks it, tastes it fully, and finds sweetness. The tigers, the mice, the fall, all remain, yet in that instant of tasting, he is free. The present strawberry is real. The threats are conditions, but the mind's full engagement with now reveals joy, even amid peril. Or consider the monk hanging from a branch, tigers above and below, yet pausing to savor wild honey dripping from the tree. These images remind us life is precarious, impermanent, yet the capacity for presence endures. In ordinary moments, the practice reveals itself. Walking down the street, feel each foot touching the ground, heel, sole, toes, without narrating the walk or judging it. Eating rice, notice the texture, the warmth, the flavors unfolding, one bite at a time. Listening to a friend speak, set aside inner commentary and truly hear the tone, the pauses, the emotion behind the words. When discomfort arises, boredom in a meeting, irritation in traffic, stay with the sensation in the body rather than escaping into fantasy or complaint. The breath continues regardless. Return to it. Presence turns even difficult moments into opportunities for insight. Why does this bring freedom? Because much of our suffering is manufactured by the mind's time traveling. Regret multiplies past pain. Anxiety inflates future uncertainty. When the mind settles in the now, these fabrications collapse. What remains is raw experience, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, but without the added weight of stories. Pain may still be there, physical ache, emotional hurt, but it is met directly, not fed by rumination. Joy arises more easily too, the laughter of a child, sunlight on leaves, the quiet satisfaction of a task done well. These shine brighter when not overshadowed by distraction. This teaching asks for patience. The mind has wandered for years. It will not still itself overnight. Each return is progress. Each moment of noticing, I am lost in thought, is a victory. Over time, the gaps between distraction shorten, awareness becomes steadier. The present reveals itself as vast, not narrow. In this vastness, the heart opens to impermanence. Everything arises and passes, thoughts, feelings, sounds, sensations. Clinging fades, because there is nothing permanent to grasp. With non-clinging comes peace. Dear friend, try it now. Close your eyes if you wish, or keep them softly open. Feel the breath enter and leave. Notice any sounds nearby. Sense the weight of your body supported by the chair or floor. If thoughts come about yesterday or tomorrow, see them like clouds drifting across an open sky. They pass. Return to the breath, to the body, to this living instant. Here, suffering loses its hold. Here, the path unfolds naturally. The Buddha's words point to this truth. The only moment for true life is now, not tomorrow after enlightenment arrives, not yesterday when things were better. Now, in this breath, in this awareness. Freedom is not elsewhere. It is the quiet, steady presence that meets whatever comes, without escape, without clinging. Rest in it. Let it deepen, and watch how, moment by moment, the heart grows lighter, clearer, more at home in its true nature. This is the freedom the path offers, liberation in the midst of ordinary, ever-changing life. 6. Guard the mind as the greatest treasure. The mind is hard to check, swift, seizing whatever it desires. Yet a tamed mind brings happiness. Guard it diligently, as a parent guards a child or a treasurer guards treasure. When unwholesome thoughts arise, envy, pride, delusion, do not ignore them, but do not follow them either. Note them gently, like clouds passing across the sky. Replace them with metta, with gratitude, with right view. The guarded mind becomes clear, calm, luminous. From this clarity, wisdom naturally unfolds, and with wisdom, the end of suffering draws near. These words from the Buddha, drawn especially from the chapter on the mind in the Dhammapada, point to one of the most practical and essential practices on the path. Verse after verse in that chapter speaks directly to this. The mind is difficult to detect, extremely subtle, wandering wherever it pleases. Let the wise one guard it, for a guarded mind brings happiness. Another verse reminds us that the mind is agitated, wavering, hard to guard and hard to restrain, yet the wise person straightens it, just as a fletcher straightens an arrow. And again wonderful it is to subdue the mind, so difficult to subdue, ever swift, seizing what it wants. A tamed mind brings happiness. Why does the Buddha place such emphasis on guarding? Because the mind is the source of everything we experience. It is the forerunner, the chief, the maker of all things, as the opening verses of the Dhammapada declare. If left unguarded, it runs wild, attaching to pleasant sights, sounds, memories or fantasies, chasing after them endlessly. It rejects the unpleasant, building walls of aversion that only increase inner tension. It falls into confusion, spinning stories of self that obscure clear seeing. In this unguarded state, even small impulses grow into habits that shape our words, our actions, our entire life. A single envious thought, if indulged, can sour relationships. A moment of pride unchecked can blind us to our own faults. Delusion, the root of all, thrives when we do not watch closely. Guarding the mind is not about building a fortress of suppression or forcing it into stillness through sheer will. That would create more struggle, more division within. Instead, it is a vigilant, gentle awareness, like a watchful parent who sees a child wandering toward danger and calls it back with love, or like a treasurer who carefully protects a chest of jewels, knowing their value. The mind is that jewel more precious than any external treasure, because it is the seat of liberation itself. When guarded well, it becomes the source of peace, insight and freedom. When neglected, it becomes the source of endless wandering in samsara. How do we practice this guarding in the midst of ordinary life? Begin with recognition. The first step is simply to notice when the mind has wandered or when an unwholesome state has arisen. In meditation, sit quietly and observe the breath as your anchor. Thoughts will come, plans for the day, worries about tomorrow, judgments about yourself or others. When you notice, label softly in your mind: thinking, planning, remembering, aversion. Do not fight or criticize, just note and return to the breath. This noting is the guard at the gate. Over time, the act of noticing itself weakens the pull of distraction. In daily activities, bring the same vigilance. While eating, notice if greed arises, wanting more flavor, more quantity, or if aversion appears toward a taste you dislike. See it arise, feel its pull in the body, watch it pass without acting on it. Walking down a busy street, observe how the mind reacts to sights and sounds, attraction to beauty, irritation at noise, comparison with passers-by. Each reaction is an opportunity. Pause inwardly, breathe, and choose not to follow. Replace the unwholesome with something wholesome, a silent wish of metta, may this person be well, or gratitude for the simple ability to walk, to see, to breathe. When stronger states appear, anger flaring in an argument, envy at another's success, pride in an achievement, do not ignore or deny them. That only drives them underground to emerge later, stronger. Instead, turn toward them with curiosity and kindness. Ask, what is this feeling? Where do I feel it in the body? Is it tightening the chest, heating the face, quickening the pulse? See its impermanence. It arises dependent on conditions, stays for a while, then fades if not fed. In this clear seeing, space opens. You can choose a different response: patience instead of anger, appreciation instead of envy, humility instead of pride. The Buddha compared the guarded mind to a well-protected house or a turtle withdrawing into its shell. The six senses are like gates. When unguarded, unskillful influences enter freely. But when we withdraw attention from harmful objects, turning away from gossip, from endless craving for stimulation, from dwelling on faults, the mind remains protected. We do not close the gates completely, we simply station awareness there, allowing only what leads to clarity and compassion to pass. This practice builds over time. At first, the mind slips away constantly. You may catch it only after minutes of rumination. With persistence, the intervals shorten, you notice sooner, return faster. The mind grows steadier, less reactive. Clarity emerges. Thoughts are seen as just thoughts, not as solid truths or commands. Emotions lose their overwhelming power. In their place comes a quiet luminosity, a mind that is calm, bright, and ready for insight. From this guarded clarity, wisdom arises naturally. We see impermanence in every arising and passing thought. We recognize no self in the flow of mental events, no permanent owner, only conditioned processes. We understand suffering's cause in clinging and craving. With wisdom comes the fading of defilements, the loosening of fetters. The end of suffering draws near, not as a distant goal, but as the natural fruit of a well-guarded mind. Dear friend, treat your mind with the care it deserves. It is your greatest treasure, the key to liberation. Guard it in every moment, while working, resting, speaking, listening. When unwholesome states knock, do not open the door wide. Note them, understand them, let them pass. Cultivate the wholesome loving kindness toward yourself and others, gratitude for this precious human life, equanimity in the face of change. Each act of guarding strengthens the mind, purifies it, illuminates it. Rest now in this awareness. Feel the breath, observe the mind gently. Know that in this very guarding lies the path to true peace. A guarded mind is not imprisoned. It is freed. It no longer wanders helplessly. It abides in clarity, ready for whatever arises. From this abiding comes happiness that does not depend on conditions, wisdom that sees things as they are, and the gradual unfolding of the freedom the Buddha taught. Guard it well, for in guarding the mind, you guard the way to awakening itself. 7. Through right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, awaken true freedom. The path to mastering the mind is not a distant mystery or a sudden flash of insight granted only to the few. It is laid out clearly in the Noble Eightfold Path taught by the Buddha, a practical way of living that leads directly to the end of suffering. Among its 8 branches, 3 form the heart of the training that directly shapes and liberates the mind: right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These are the final 3 steps of the path, often called the concentration group, yet they support and are supported by the earlier steps of wisdom and ethical conduct. Together they create the conditions for the mind to awaken to its true nature, clear, unbound, at peace. Right effort comes first in this trio. It is the active, courageous energy that directs the mind toward what is wholesome and away from what is unwholesome. The Buddha described 4 great efforts: the effort to prevent unarisen unwholesome states, the effort to abandon those that have already arisen, the effort to arouse wholesome states that have not yet come into being, and the effort to maintain and increase those wholesome states that are already present. This is not about forcing the mind with harsh discipline or self-punishment. It is wise, balanced exertion, like a skilled musician tuning a string, not too tight, lest it break, not too loose, lest it fail to sound. In practice, right effort means vigilance without strain. When you notice greed stirring, perhaps a subtle craving for praise, food, or comfort, do not indulge it, but do not suppress it violently either. Gently turn away, reminding yourself of its impermanent nature and the suffering it brings when followed. When anger or resentment flares, recognize it early and apply the antidote: patience, understanding, or loving kindness. At the same time, actively cultivate the positive, generate thoughts of generosity, compassion, gratitude, equanimity. Sit for a few minutes each day and deliberately arouse metta, wishing well to yourself, to a loved one, to a neutral person, even to someone difficult. This is effort in action, planting seeds of goodness and weeding out what harms. Right effort requires energy, but the energy must be balanced with wisdom. Too much force creates tension and burnout. Too little allows laziness to prevail. The Buddha likened right effort to the way a charioteer handles the reins, firm yet gentle, guiding the horses without breaking them. When you feel discouraged because old habits return, do not give up. Renew the effort mindfully, without self-blame. Each small act of choosing the wholesome over the unwholesome strengthens the mind's capacity for freedom. This effort naturally leads into right mindfulness, the clear, non-judging awareness of what is happening in the present moment. Right mindfulness is the steady observation of body, feelings, mind, and mental objects, just as they are, without adding stories or preferences. The Buddha taught 4 foundations of mindfulness in the Satipatthana Sutta: mindfulness of the body, breathing, postures, activities, parts of the body, elements, corpse contemplation; mindfulness of feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral; mindfulness of mind, states such as lustful or free from lust, angry or free from anger; and mindfulness of dharmas, categories such as the 5 hindrances, the 5 aggregates, the sense bases, the 7 factors of awakening, the 4 noble truths. In everyday life, right mindfulness means bringing full attention to whatever you are doing. While washing dishes, feel the warmth of the water, the movement of your hands, the sound of plates touching. While walking, know each step, lifting, moving, placing. While sitting in meditation, anchor attention on the breath, noting its qualities: long or short, deep or shallow, calm or agitated. When thoughts or emotions arise, observe them as phenomena: thinking arising, anger present, calm returning. There is no need to analyze or fix anything, just see clearly, with kindness and detachment. This steady mindfulness creates the ground for right concentration. Concentration, samadhi, is the unification and collectedness of the mind. It develops through sustained, joyful attention on a single object, free from distraction and dullness. The Buddha describes stages of absorption, the jhanas, where the mind becomes increasingly serene, blissful, and one-pointed. Yet even without entering deep jhanas, right concentration arises whenever the mind is gathered and steady, on the breath, on loving kindness, on a candle flame, on walking steps. To cultivate it, choose a primary object and return to it patiently. Distractions will come. When they do, note them and return without frustration. Over time, the mind settles. Joy may arise, a quiet rapture in the steadiness itself. Happiness follows, a deep contentment independent of external conditions. Equanimity emerges, a balanced awareness that neither clings nor rejects. In this concentrated state, the mind becomes luminous, pliable, ready for insight. These 3: right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, work together in a beautiful cycle. Effort provides the energy to stay with mindfulness. Mindfulness reveals where effort is needed and where the mind is already calm. Concentration deepens mindfulness and makes effort effortless. Together they weaken the 3 root poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. As ignorance fades, craving ceases, clinging loosens, becoming ends. The fetters that bind us, self-view, doubt, attachment to rights, sensual desire, ill will, desire for fine material existence, desire for immaterial existence, conceit, restlessness, ignorance, gradually fall away. This awakening is not a dramatic event reserved for monks in distant forests. It unfolds in ordinary moments for anyone who practices sincerely. A layperson sitting for 20 minutes each morning, observing the breath with gentle effort, noticing hindrances and returning again and again, is walking this very path. A mother caring for her child, Bringing mindful attention to each interaction is cultivating these factors. A worker facing stress at the office, applying right effort to respond with patience rather than reaction, is training the mind toward freedom. Dear friend, the Buddha did not teach an impossible ideal. He taught a gradual path, accessible to all. Begin where you are. Set aside a regular time each day, even 10 or 15 minutes, to sit quietly and observe the breath. When hindrances arise, doubt, restlessness, laziness, note them as part of the practice. Apply effort wisely. Arouse energy when dull, calm when agitated. Cultivate mindfulness in daily activities, eating, walking, speaking, listening. Let concentration grow naturally from sustained attention. Over weeks and months, changes appear quietly. The mind becomes less reactive, more spacious. Old patterns lose their grip. Moments of clarity arise more often. Sudden insights into impermanence, into the selfless nature of experience. Suffering, though still present in life, no longer dominates. There is a growing sense of inner freedom, a lightness that carries through difficulties. This is the true freedom the Buddha pointed to, not escape from the world, but liberation within it. A mind no longer enslaved by craving or aversion, no longer lost in delusion. A mind that sees clearly, responds wisely, abides in peace. Right effort gives it direction. Right mindfulness gives it clarity. Right concentration gives it depth. Together they awaken what has always been present, the unbound, luminous awareness that is our true nature. Rest here for a moment. Feel the breath moving in and out. Know that this very practice, this gentle effort, this clear seeing, this steady attention is the path itself. No need to hurry, no need to force. Simply continue with patience and trust. The freedom you seek is unfolding right now, in this breath, in this moment of mindful presence. May your practice deepen. May these 3 trainings bear fruit in your life. May you walk the path with confidence, step by step, until true freedom is realized, not as something attained far away, but as the natural state of a well-trained, guarded, awakened mind. Dear friend, we have walked together through these 7 lessons, each one a gentle lamp lighting the way inward, from recognizing that the mind shapes all we are, to conquering the self with patience, to releasing hatred through understanding, to guarding the senses with care, to abiding fully in this present breath, to protecting the mind as our most precious treasure, and finally to awakening true freedom through right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These are not separate teachings to be memorized or debated. They are one continuous practice, flowing into each other like a single river moving toward the sea. The Buddha did not offer a distant paradise or an escape from life itself. He offered a way to meet life exactly as it is, with clear eyes, an open heart, and a steady mind. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction, kindness over resentment, presence over distraction, you are already walking this path. Every small return to the breath, every gentle noting of a wandering thought, every act of letting go is the transformation itself. You do not need to become someone else. You do not need perfect conditions, extraordinary experiences, or endless hours of retreat. Begin where you sit right now, in Karachi's warm air, amid the sounds of the city, with whatever feelings are moving through you today. Sit for a few minutes each morning or evening. Watch the breath rise and fall. When the mind drifts, smile softly at its restlessness and invite it home. Throughout the day, carry a thread of mindfulness. Feel your steps on the pavement. Taste the food you eat. Listen fully when someone speaks. In traffic, in the market, at home with family, return again and again to this moment. Change happens quietly, not with fireworks or sudden revelations, but with a steady accumulation of wise moments. One day you notice anger arising and, Instead of exploding or suppressing, you simply observe it fade. Another day craving pulls strongly, yet you breathe through it and let it pass without feeding it. Over time, the heart grows lighter, the mind less turbulent, the inner freedom more familiar. Suffering still visits, because life is impermanent, but it no longer owns you. You meet it as a guest, with understanding, and allow it to leave. If you ever feel lost or discouraged, remember the Buddha's own words near the end of his teaching life: be islands unto yourselves, be refuges unto yourselves. Take the Dhamma as your refuge. Strive on with diligence. You already carry everything you need inside. The path is not somewhere else. It is this very awareness, this very capacity to see clearly and choose wisely. May your mind be guarded and gentle. May your heart rest in the present. May effort, mindfulness, and concentration bring you steadily toward peace. May all beings be free from suffering. Thank you for walking with me through these words. Whenever the mind grows restless or heavy, you can always return here to these simple truths, to the breath, to the invitation to begin again. With deepest metta and respect, Namo Buddhaya. May peace be with you always.